Mm-hmm. What do you think about the way that the world has reacted?
I think it very much depends where, and very much depends on, of course, who I know. And I have friends from all over the world, and majority of them were very responsive. For example, on Tuesday we had a protest, and there were a lot of different countries, a lot of different continents there. People, I don't even have anyone who would, oppose this. Even my Russian friends were terrified, went on protest donating for the army. It was something insane. It's like people finally understood what's going on. It's like everyone woke up and it clicked in their heads, whatever the nationality is. Of course, especially Polish people who now have to host all the Ukrainian refugees who are coming. But as we know, Ukrainian diaspora is pretty big in Poland. So Ukrainians and Polish people are working hard right now to host all of these people and provide them, because majority of them are women and kids and they have nowhere to go.
Okay. I also want to encourage our viewers, if you have any questions for Mariia, feel free to put them either in the chat or use the question button, and we'll be happy to talk about some of those if there's time. Tell us about what Ukrainians are thinking with regard to the responses from NATO and the US and the EU.
We are heavily disappointed. We are heavily disappointed because, well, this attack is not something that happened out of the blue. It's been going on and growing for a long time now. And of course, we were always in contact with our allies as EU or as the United States of America. So when they didn't react immediately and were just saying us prayers and concerns, we got very angry, because people who are getting bombed, they need help right now at this very moment. It's too dangerous to consider in a way. Of course, I understand that all these bureaucratic processes, they take time, they need people to gather around, make a decision, but we just felt like people were afraid to answer to Putin. So it was not about their prayers or consideration at the end of the day, but they were afraid that if they answered to Putin, then that's it for them. So we were heavily, heavily disappointed, but hopefully things gonna get better. For example, an hour ago, we found out that Russia is disconnected from SWIFT, which is a big economic decision. Finland, Sweden were helping us financially for the army. Poland has been helping also with donations, with the army, with refugees. So there are a lot of allies, but of course we expected much more than this, much more than this.
I wanna talk about SWIFT a little bit. Tell us about this, international bank payment system, and why it's so important to get Russia disconnected from it.
So I don't know much, but from what I know, SWIFT is very important to make transactions from country to country. And if Russians can't do it, it's gonna economically destroy ruble. It's gonna economically destroy Russia, that it actually has been destroying itself for a couple of last days. We can see the currency exchange, and we can see that what Putin is doing is not bringing any benefit to Russia, which again shows that this is completely useless what he's doing. Absolutely, for Russia and for its future, it's useless. So about SWIFT, I don't know much. So I'd rather not, mislead you guys. You go Google, but what I know is just it's gonna crash Russia economically.
Sure. I want to welcome anyone who's joined recently. My name is Kevin. I'm interviewing my friend Mariia here. She's from Dnipro, Ukraine, and currently living in Poland, helping resettle refugees from Ukraine and get them, supplies and basic, access to things that they might need. So Mariia, you just talked a little bit about the economic effects of Putin's actions. Can you tell us about why Putin would choose to invade Ukraine if not for an economic reason?
There are a lot of theories on why Putin is doing this, but me, my friends and family, we believe that he just needs to take Ukraine over, because obviously at the end of the day, if you're political views are realist, in a way, you see how countries are competing between each other for power, for land, for economy. And obviously, Russia needs Ukraine, and Russia has been trying to get it for a lot of years now. by taking Crimea over, by bombing us for 8 years, killing our civilians and army. And at one moment, that's what I assume. Of course, it's my personal opinion, but I assume that Putin got very angry because he thought it's going to be very easy. He thought it's going to be like Belarus, unfortunately, because, well, economically, politically, as a culture, as a country, Belarus is now all under control of a dictator who is pretty pro-Russian. Majority of people, they don't even know what is Belarusian language anymore, unfortunately. So Putin thought that Ukraine is going to be just the same. But when Ukraine said, no, we don't want this. We want to be European. We want to be in EU. We want to be in NATO. We have nothing to do with you. We don't want you and your culture. He got extremely angry. So that made him actually go for this radical action, in my opinion.
Gotcha. What are you doing right now? You know, in the refugee camp where you're living and kind of volunteering. Go ahead.
So, people I know and I, first thing is we canceled everything we have for next maybe 6 months. All the trips, nothing is happening anymore. All the money we wanted to spend are going to army, because this is what actually gonna help. And physically you go and you donate maybe even to your city and their protection, because civilians are making groups right now. For example, let me tell about Dnipro a little bit. I'm so proud of Dnipro people right now. They're gathering on the main square in the city, and they're teaching each other how to make Molotov cocktail, because no one is planning to give up the city. No one wants Russia in there. Civilians, kids, women, doesn't matter. They're all teaching themselves how to hold weapons, how to use it, how to buy it. Thankfully, President Zelensky signed a document that allows everyone to carry a weapon right now, so people can protect themselves, which is actually pretty helpful. But of course, donate to money, donate to local groups that will need your help very soon. Donate to the hospitals. Dnipro has one of the biggest military hospitals, and all the people are there already, and they all need equipment. People are donating blood, people are donating money. After doing this, you go and you help refugees physically. For example, right now, my sister and I are moderating big groups for Ukrainians, because posts keep coming each and every second of people searching for a home, people searching for a ride to get to Krakow from the border. Thousands of people are waiting with their kids. They're cold, they're hungry, they need our support right now.
Tell us about what your daily life looks like right now, in
Sure.
the camp. You know, how are folks even getting from Ukraine to the refugee camps,
Okay.
and what does the support system look like once they arrive?
So people go to a couple of so there's a lot of different ways you can get through to Poland. Men cannot go through because of mobilization process right now. So these are women and kids only, and maybe animals. So they all either go by car, but majority of them are just running. So they go there by foot, and they stand there for hours and hours. So as far as I heard from my colleague today, one of the lines in the border for people who go by foot is 50 kilometers. 50 kilometers. And of course, it's not gonna be easy. They need to check all of your documents. They need to understand who you are. So they're not just letting people in, as far as we know this. So when they get in, there are a lot of volunteers, a lot of Ukrainian and Polish people who take their cars, drivers especially, and they just take these people from the border to the refugee centers where these people are getting relocated. There are a lot of volunteers who provide their apartments, their homes, their food to these people, maybe some job. Everyone is coming to help with something that they can't possibly do. So after that, they just go to places that are ready to host them. Also, Poland and Krakow, and specifically, they are building refugee camps for people who unfortunately couldn't get volunteer help of people who would give them apartment or a home. And of course, we also have a lot of spots where people are bringing pads, food for babies, diapers, things that people need, the first things that people need. And I encourage everyone, donate for this needs, because this is what people need. They have little kids, they are hungry and they're cold. So this is all the basics right now. I don't know how it's gonna look in 10, 15 days, but this is what we do at the moment.
Thanks. I want to remind everyone who's just joined in the last few minutes. My name is Kevin. I'm interviewing my friend Mariia, who lives in Dnipro, Ukraine, but is currently volunteering at a refugee camp in Poland. Mariia, thanks again for the time that you've given so far to this awesome and really informative interview. I want to see what you and other folks in Ukraine think the ideal situation would be like, at the end of this. Like, what's the solution, or maybe, if there's no perfect solution, like what would get us closer to peace between Ukraine and Russia?
We need to show Putin that it's not only Ukraine fighting. He needs to understand that Ukraine has friends who are helping Ukraine. So what a lot of Ukrainians encourage right now is for NATO to shield the sky at least, or to provide more help, more military help, because it's impossible to win without a lot of money, a lot of military support. I'm not even talking about people. Obviously, the ideal situation would be for Canadian troops that are in Latvia, for example, or American troops in Poland to go. We were asking, people are crying and asking for this, for troops to go and help and support. But of course, we know it's not happening, because the position of NATO and the position of the United States was that they're not gonna help unless the NATO member is under attack, which is extremely cruel, of course. But the ideal situation, of course, would be more help from NATO, more help from the United States.
So talk to us a little bit about the military and what it's doing in Ukraine right now. I think there are a lot of people, myself included, who have not been in a war zone, who don't know, what it's like to be under attack from another country, frankly. And so we're hesitant to give any sort of military aid because, I think the assumption is that it's going to be used to kill people. Tell us about what the Ukrainian military is doing right now, and why you believe that it's important to support the military.
It is crucial. This is gonna be harsh right now what I'm gonna say, but if you not gonna donate to military, you're gonna donate to Red Cross more and to refugee camps more. Because what Ukrainian army is doing right now is basically protecting us from the very vicious, horrible attacks. And I think if you just Google about people, army people who already died and civilians who already died during these 2 days, you're gonna understand how essential it is. Of course, I understand that a lot of people think that this money gonna spread even more violence, but it's impossible to make it even more violent. Imagine the situation. Other armies bombing your city, killing your people. There are a lot of videos right now of Russian tanks just going over civilian cars. Who's going to protect these people? Civilians are not able to protect themselves. They're not prepared for any kind of attacks. Someone is attacking you in the street during that, guys. Do you think you're protected? This is like 10 times worse. 10 times worse. Okay, they're going to get a gun, but they don't have enough knowledge, they don't have enough equipment to do this. So this is essential to donate for the army, which of course is supported by all the Ukrainian people, majority of them, of course, because it's literally their last chance to survive, because NATO, EU, United States, turn our backs on us. So all we have left is our army.
Okay, so to kind of get more specific to the question, it sounds like what the army is doing right now is protecting people, like getting medical support to the people. Is that approximately right?
So what is army doing? So Russian troops are going on land as well as bombing. So they're just going from little villages and towns to main cities to take over basically the administrative centers, military centers, factories, everything that can provide any kind of support for these people to survive. So while doing that, they are killing civilians if they're on the way, and they usually are on the way. So what Ukrainian army is doing, they are protecting these people from getting killed. They're protecting them on land, they're protecting them on air, they're helping people not to die, not to get bombed. They, of course, inform them where to hide. It's, of course, multi-layer process. There's a lot of things that they do, but without army, it's very hard to protect yourself because they have much more knowledge and technology. For example, where are these people going, where's the Russian troops are going right now, where they're going to turn, what they're going to do, how to protect and prevent. The main thing is now to prevent the escalation, to prevent people of going further and taking over more and more cities and villages. So basically, as a military army person, the main thing right now is to prevent. And if you can't prevent this and people are in front of your face, is to kill these people. This is war. War is about killing the enemy that is in front of you in all the ways that is possible. This is the only way you can protect the civilians, basically.
Thanks for sharing that. As we sort of begin to wrap up, I'm curious to think what you have heard or believe about, the rumors that this could be the beginning of World War III. If you look historically at how other global conflicts have begun, what do you think about the connections between those and what's happening now between the West and Russia?
That's a good question. I think I wouldn't exaggerate this big. In my opinion, Putin doesn't really have resources for that, especially if they intervene. And NATO has a lot of resources, and the United States have a lot of resources. I don't think it's going to go that far, but from my experience, I know nothing. I didn't even expect Putin to attack on Thursday morning. It happened, and it only happened on Donbass, but my city that I would never think was even no one would allow to touch, central Ukraine. It was attacked, bombed. So it's very hard to predict, and I wouldn't take such responsibility to predict these things. But what I know for sure is unless the world community will help us, if Ukraine gonna lose this fight, he's gonna go further. That's 100%. This guy's ambition is pretty big. So this war is not only our war, but it's world's war as well. For example, one example I can give, just to prove my point, Russians took Chernobyl station one day ago, which still has some active radiation in it. And people, if I was a Polish person or person from the Baltic region, would be very concerned right now, very concerned. So there's a lot of potential danger to the whole continent. And people should start thinking about it, that this is not just about Ukrainians and Russian and their conflict somewhere and their political questions, because this is misinformation.
Cool. Tell us one more time, what are the most useful things that someone could do right now if they want to support Ukraine?
Of course, my opinion cannot be changed. Donate to army. There's a direct account where you can donate to the army. National Bank of Ukraine has opened it because we're in a terrifying situation right now. We terribly need your support. It's the only way we can protect our cities, civilians, everything. And then, of course, I would really consider you donating to a nonprofit, Save Lives, which is basically redistributing money on the needs of the country during this period of time, of course, including military needs as well. You can also donate to the refugee communities in Poland, and they have a lot of different NGOs supporting this right now. You can donate to Red Cross Ukraine. You can just go and Google support Ukraine, and there are a lot of organizations in the United States. It's Razom, of course. So there are plenty of ways you can donate, and I would say, of course, army would be my first.
Cool. Thank you, Mariia. I really appreciate your time, and again for being willing to talk on this really tragic topic and this horrible time for you and all Ukrainians and frankly the world. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope we can do it again soon sometime.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to add one thing, Kevin, if I may, one last thing. For people, why am I against photos of hugging these Russians and Ukrainians and people writing for peace? Because I think it's crucial not to spread Russian propaganda. I'm going to tell you one story, guys, so you can understand what is it about. So you go to school, right? And there is a person who's bullying you every day. Every day you go there and you're terrified. You're amazed by this level of violence and this level of pressure that you get every day. And one day this person hits you on the stomach, let's say. And you go to your mom and you say, hey mom, I'm getting bullied. There's this person and I don't know what to do. I feel horrible physically and mentally for a long time now. And your mom is like, come here. So she takes a photo of you and bully, and she's posting, you guys should just think about being more peaceful, guys. How would you feel about this? Because this is how Ukrainians feel when they see this kind of messages. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. That's a great, explanation of how that kind of imagery is so harmful to the cause. So yeah, thank you again. I'm sure we'll have more questions, and yeah, I'm just again really honored that you took the time out of your extremely busy and stressful life right now to do this. So thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
Amazing. Thank you, Kevin. Have a peaceful day, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.